That one right. Really appreciate Dean Templin and all that he's doing and supporting this effort. I hope you guys get the opportunity to really learn from these individuals that come down and speak. And here's what you're going to find, is you're going to find that some of the speakers may be a little bit more exciting to you than others. And I hope that's the case. Some of you will align with some speakers more than others. And the reality is that is life. We can't guarantee you that everything's going to be a super high, exciting pitch, but what we can guarantee you is these individuals have context and incredible learning that can offer you. This lesson was really taught to me by an individual that's coming in a couple of weeks, and boy, is he ever going to light the stage up. He's an incredible dynamic speaker, an individual by the name of Garrett B. Gunderson. I was on a national talk show with him live about 5 or 6 years ago, as one of my books had just come out. And I was telling my story a little bit about how, my thing is I take $5,000 or $10,000 and create a business, and X number become multi-million-dollar businesses. And he stopped me real time in the middle of the show and he says, "No, you didn't." And I'm like, well, yeah, I did. He says, "No, you didn't." And then he went on to explain something that I now have incorporated and I talk a lot about. Here's what it is and what I want to teach you. Oh, before I get started on that, let me just get a quick indication. Those of you who are in the business program, raise your hand. And now put your hands down, and those who aren't, raise your hand. Okay, good. You that raised your hand that don't understand all the business terms is who I really want to talk to today, because you know what? That was me. When I had this experience, I was an electrical engineer, and at those point in time, business students and engineers did not mix. As a matter of fact, we were considered the nerdy, weird guys, and that was actually true in my case. And I would go into this lecture series. I would sit right there where Mr. Green is sitting, right there in the back. I'd keep down. I'd avoid eye contact because I didn't want to feel stupid or foolish. But the things that I learned out of that lecture series changed the course of my life forevermore. I'm going to, with your permission, I'm going to tell just a little bit of my background here as we get a little bit deeper into it. So those of you who maybe don't have the business background, and we start talking about P&L and debit versus credit, who cares, you know? Come on, accounting students, someone's got to laugh at that. Any accounting students? Any accounting students? Okay, super. Debit, credit, who cares? Okay, that was a bad joke. So here's what Garrett called out for me at this in this interview. It's intellectual capital plus relationship capital equals financial capital. In other words, if I get smart and I study and I get really intelligent and I use the plus sign or serve my relationship capital, and I do that equal sign in the form of a business, then it yields financial capital or makes money. And so Garrett's point to me was the $5,000 that I was starting with, the $10,000 that I was starting money with, these businesses with, was meaningless. What really mattered was the relationship capital. And I have to tell you that, you know what, Garrett was actually right, because I'd ran Mitsubishi Electric in the U.S. I'd had an office overlooking the Ball Walls, so I had some really powerful relationship capital that let me start these businesses really effectively. And so the point of this whole exercise to you guys is simply this. You guys need exposure to relationship capital, and that's why we're down here. We're trying to get you exposed to some powerful, some good, some insightful individuals. And if there's one piece of advice that I could give you, I mean, walk out the door right now and leave everything else on the table. But if there's one thing that I could encourage you to do as students is serve your relationship capital. Too frequently, particularly in this culture, in this age, we think, ooh, I'll get super smart, and then I'll use a minus sign. I'll take advantage of, I'll screw over, I will destroy all of these relationship capital, and that's going to make me more money. I mean, in what world does that work? I mean, you guys give me your eyebrows. Shake your eyeballs a little bit if that makes sense to you or doesn't make sense to you, right? So, In my story, I wasn't the top of the top. I wasn't the brightest of the bright. I don't even dare confess to you what my ACT score was. I did okay on my GMAT because I studied for like 2 years, but I wasn't the golden ticket guy. I never would have won one of the business plan competitions, the very ones that I'm now funding. I was Mr. Green, and although you look like you got bright eyes, but I was Mr. Green in the back of the room hiding, trying to avoid not responding to a stupid question. But what I did exceptionally well, what I did better than anybody else is I served my relationship capital. I've been blessed to have 3 or 4 very significant mentors in my life, and they've made all the difference in the world for me. And without taking too much time, I'm just going to tell you quickly the first one. I went up to BYU. My wife and I had a Dodge Colt that had been totaled 3 times. It was an old bull thing, and it was just a mess. We didn't dare drive it down the freeway because the head was cracked and it would leak oil. We'd fill with oil and check the gas about the type of car it was. And I got a job at this really interesting little company, and I was an okay engineer. I wasn't a tremendous engineer, but I was an okay engineer. And so I got hired into the customer service and customer support staff. And so I worked hard and I did okay, but nothing too brilliant. It was a company of maybe 40, 45 people, but there was this brilliant technology coming out called SPX, IPX packet protocols. We were networking through power lines. And it was really cool technology at the point. And a billionaire by the name of Ray Norda, have any of you heard the name Ray Norda, the father of network computing? Boy, I'm really old now. Okay, well, he's the guy that founded Novell and actually launched the whole entrepreneurship thing here in Utah. Was coming into the office to consider investing $2-3 million in the company. And as I was leaving that night, I was kind of the last one out, and I noticed that the floor wasn't clean, and everything looked kind of a mess, and I knew Ray was coming in. And so I called my wife up and I said, "Sweetheart, come on down." And we spent like a couple of hours mopping the floor. We cleaned the screens. We kind of straightened things up a little bit. Didn't say anything. I remember distinctly because I took my wife to dinner that night. It was like the second or third time we'd actually had enough money to go out to dinner. We kind of celebrated. We did that. Got in the next day. Ray Norda funded the company. Not a word was said, but there was an individual by the name of Alan Hall who had just been assigned a vice president. He was a young buck in his career. He was maybe 40, 45 years old, but boy, I'd look at Alan, and when I grew up, I thought, man, that's the kind of way I wanted to hold myself. And Alan was he was a vice president in this new little company, just kind of figuring it out. He somehow discovered or figured out that I was the one that had used my intellectual capital. I knew how to push a mop and a broom. I knew how to clean the screen. And I had served, I'd used the plus sign, and I'd done that, kind of out of a good motive. Well, the following week, Alan Hall assigned me to be the one that traveled around the country with him, doing all this technical setup and starting to do some technical presentations. That relationship then formed into Alan becoming a mentor, and while we're on the road, Alan would talk to me about the things he wanted to do. He talked about this thing called temp reps. The company ended up failing dismally. We actually ended up going kaput, company done, went our separate ways. Alan went and ran forward with this idea, and Carl, who's Alan Hall now?
He's a venture capitalist. He does, what's the name of it?
He did MarketStar. He was the funding behind, he's a billionaire. One of the most influential, incredible men, that I absolutely know in this world. And how did that happen? It came from me using my intellectual capital, me serving, relationship capital, and then that actually worked out okay for me. So as you go through life and in your career, look for mentors, look for key individuals, good individuals that are aligned, and do everything you can to serve and build them up, okay? If there's one piece of advice, that would be the piece of advice that I get you. I've had 2 or 3 mentors in my life that have made all of the difference. Use the plus sign, don't use the minus sign. That plain, that simple. Okay, I grew up in southern Utah. I grew up in Beaver. I often joke and say there were all 1,000 of us if you count the cows, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of my roots in Beaver. I was going to BYU, and the girl of my dreams came along. I was just head over heels over this young Cedar City girl. And I ended up dropping out of BYU. I came down here to pursue her with every vigor and vim I had. And my greatest win in life is I actually touched down, I won. So some of the best education that I actually got in my entire educational experience was here at SUU. I remember Dr. Wolf teaching about philosophy with his fingers cut off. It was mesmerizing. He would hold his, was it those two? He had two fingers that were missing, and he'd hold up and talk about Plato and philosophy, and it's just like a just incredible education experience. So I've always had a tender heart for SUU. I also recognize that the big thing missing here is this opportunity to grow and expand, and that's why we've done this networking group. I started my life in a really awkward direction. $500 in a Dodge Colt that had been totaled when I started out. And so I didn't have a lot of, I didn't have any rich uncle that was going to hand me $1 million to start a business. So my entire goal in life, the ultimate goal of my life was as if I could work for Boeing. If I could get a job and go work for Boeing, that was the definition of success in my life. And we worked towards it, and thank heavens that dream didn't come true. Thank heavens it didn't go that route. What a terrible, miserable, boring existence that would have been. But my career did take a real interesting path actually into young startup companies that then led to some large companies. And I think there's two things that make me kind of unique and kind of a weird duck, if you will. The first is I've had two separate, very distinct careers that typically don't go together, oil and water. The first is corporate world. I was actually an executive in large corporations. And what I discovered is although I could do that, it sucked the very soul out of my heart. I wasn't able to see the market forces eyeball to eyeball, and there was so much politics involved in it, and they controlled my time so much in what I couldn't do that I absolutely terribly hated it. It was also, I was traveling 150, 200,000 miles a year. I was, some cool stuff, but it was like I was just forced to be away from the things I really wanted to do. I didn't mind the working hard, I just hated the fact that I was a slave to something else. So I did something that was actually pretty brazen. I still remember the day it happened. My wife and I were walking around, we call it our 3-mile talks. Every night we try going on a 3-mile talk. And we were talking, my same sweetheart that I came down to SU, and I was griping one and said, I so badly want to do this. And she stops me and grabs me and says, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And so 3 months later, I quit a job that had no right quitting. I actually had an office on the 52nd floor overlooking the Mall in Times Square. And I quit that job. God didn't deserve to earn as much money as they were paying me, honestly, at that time. But I quit that job to go become an entrepreneur. And I have to tell you, it's the most rewarding, meaningful thing that I've done in my life. Is it perfect? No. Is it hard? It's incredibly hard. Being an entrepreneur is gut-wrenching at times, but you know what? I get to control my destiny. And whether I do good or whether I do bad, I'm the one that ultimately gets to control my future and my destiny. Everyone's really eager to quote my success ratio, and that's really true. That's actually true. I've now founded or co-founded 16 multi-million-dollar companies that started with $5,000 to $10,000. But what isn't mentioned is that I've had 18 failures, okay? I've actually had 18 of them that failed. And the failures are hard, and they don't get any easier. So one of the things that I really espouse to you youth, is don't be afraid of failure. We get all hung up and all contextualized. The trick, however, is if you're going to fail, you need to fail super efficiently. I love to do this little example right here regarding that. I've got a $100 bill right here. Does anybody want the $100 bill?
Yep.
Why?
Do
you? What's that? $100 bill.
I'll step by and get it.
No.
Oh.
You've been watching one of my nemesis. You saw there's this guy that, I presented 1 week at Harvard. Is that where you got that from?
I thought it was more.
Huh?
I was hoping it worked.
Oh, no, thank you. No, but I love the assertive nation. Do you want a zigzag book?
Yeah.
Or a bug zug? By the way, if you want a bug hug, come see Noah. Over the summer, we launched this product, and Noah was the one that launched it. And which one do you want? Awesome. I'll sign it for you when we get done if you want. Okay. I won't get distracted on that story, but this terrible guy that taught all these bad practices, he lectured like the week before at Harvard that I did. And his thing was put a $100 bill up and go take it. I don't believe that's right. I think we earn and we add value to get the $100 bill. So we don't come and take the $100 bill. I just squashed that $100 bill up. Does anybody still want the $100 bill? Who wants the $100 bill? Okay, now I'm going to put it on the floor. Stupid, stupid, dumb, stupid. I'm going to kick you, stupid, dumb $100 bill. Who wants the $100 bill? Come on. There's only half the hands raised in here. Who wants the $100 bill? Who wants the $100 bill? Why? I just called it stupid. I kicked it on the floor. What? It hasn't lost its value. So here's the same exact truth. We learn far more from our failures. I'm far more proud of my 18 failures than I am my successes. And I'll tell you what I'm really proud about them. And it's what I talk about in the zigzag principle is how to do it without going bankrupt or blowing your life up or going through a divorce or getting addicted to drugs and blowing everything to smithereens. You see, because what I firmly believe is failure is part of life. The trick is to learning to fail efficiently. Fail, but learn to fail very, very efficiently. And that's kind of what we espouse, like in the zigzag principle, what we're doing. So just like that $100 bill that actually got kicked around a little bit, I actually think the more that you get kicked around, the more life experience it actually increases your value. It doesn't decrease your value. All right? Everyone that eyeballs up, everyone that buys that, because I want you to understand that, then please raise your hand. It's okay to have failures, okay? Just fail efficiently and don't do stupid things. Okay, those are the first two things I really wanted to talk about. We've got, what time do we have to end?
We have to be heading to lunch at 12:30.
Okay, so we got 25 minutes, perfect. So I'm going to give you your choice of what I talk about next. I want to go in and have an interactive dialogue with you guys, and I'm going to let you guys pick what we dialogue and talk about for the next 25 minutes. Choice number one is I can talk to you about how you bootstrap a business and the principles in zigzag principle. I can quickly do a real quick flyover of the principles of zigzag principle. That's choice one. Choice number two is I can go through a quick model, which is the 5 forces Michael Porter model that anytime a business idea comes to me, and every day I get 5, 10, 15 business ideas that people are running past me, this is the first model I use to quickly vet, is this a good idea or a bad idea? And so we could go through quickly and flesh out, is your ideas how to tell a good idea from a bad idea. That's choice number two. Choice number three is you can ask questions of me and I'll ask any question that you want to pose. Okay, so everyone close your eyes and so you don't influence. Everyone who wants choice number one, which is zigzag principle, raise your hand. Okay, Janet, help me count. Okay, and everyone who wants number two, which is stupid idea, bad idea, raise your hand. Okay, good. And number three, everyone who wants questions. Okay. So the definitive winner is stupid idea, bad idea. All right. This is an adapted, there's a guy out of Harvard called Michael E. Porter. Have any of you heard that name before? Okay, super one. It's a brilliant model. It's called the 5 forces model. The problem is it's like it's a major yawner. I mean, it's to get through it. It's majorly academic, and it's really good. Yes,
Steve? They don't get that until their capstone class.
Okay.
Strategy class.
Okay, super. Well, I loved, one of the things I loved doing in my career is taking a model, understanding it, and then simplifying it so the average smuck from Beaver can understand it. And so that's indeed what I've done with the 5 forces model. And so it's just really this simple. And you guys please interact with me as we go along, okay? If there's something that you want clarification on or a term that I use, particularly you engineering students or disciplines other than business, please raise your hand. So what I do is I always draw 5 boxes. And then I add an extra box, which is That's Rich's extra ad box. And let's go through each of these. Power of the buyers. Okay, so people who are buying it. Power of the supplier. Substitutes. How intense is the competition? And then this one's barriers to entry. This one right down here is the channel. Now in Porter's model, he actually has the channel barrier to in, barrier to entries, but here's my rule. If I don't have the channel figured out, I don't care if every single one of those is a plus, I won't go forward. Okay, so that's kind of the structure of it. So let's run a quick example on what would be a good business and a bad business, and then I'll actually let you guys poll quickly and maybe throw one of your business ideas out, and we'll run that through. Does that sound like a good plan? Okay, so let's go in and let's say that we want to create soda pop. We're going to go into business and we're going to create a brand new version of Skippy soda pop for SUU that's bright red that has lots of caffeine in it. Can I go negotiate a better price for sugar with the supplier? Come on, heads, interact with me. Talk to me. Can I get a better price for sugar than, let's say, Coke or Pepsi?
No.
Okay, so with that, I would say that's a minus. Okay, now can I go to the buyers and can I say, this new Mountain Dew SUU red caffeinated drink, can I charge double the price for that from what's presently on the market for that soda pop? No, I can't, can I? So I don't have power with the buyers. How many substitutes are there for soda pop? Endless, right? Look, we got orange juice, we got water, we've got milk, we've got, 1,000 flavors of soda pop, so many substitutes I can't even count it. Okay, how intense is the competition? Okay, at what point you have Super Bowl ads? You've got intense competition. Okay, so in crazy intense competition. Matter of fact, one company I was running with, we made the mistake to actually, we were meeting with executives from like Coke and some Pepsi product got brought in. They actually left the room and would not return until we removed the product. That's intense competition. Okay, barriers to entry. How difficult is it to get into the soda pop business? Hard or easy? Okay, this is where everyone breaks down right here. Hard or easy?
Hard.
Hard. Who said hard? Everyone who thinks it's hard, raise your hand. Everyone who thinks easy, raise your hand. Come on, we had half the people that didn't vote. The correct answer is it's very easy to get into the soda pop business. All I need is some sugar water, some flavor, coloring, and a sink. And I can mix soda water and I can go into the soda pop business. So it's actually very, very easy to create it, to create the product. But what's very, very difficult is Coke's secret formula for the flavor variation, which is a barrier to entry, or any patents that may be filed. But then the big kicker is, so I'm going to actually put barriers to entry as maybe a double minus. At what point you have 7-year-olds setting up lemonade stands, you've got, that's kind of easy to do. But what's difficult is where do I sell that soda pop? Do any of you have a brother-in-law or an uncle or a father that controls the distribution into major grocery stores? If you don't, you absolutely shouldn't be doing this business. If you do, you could do that. So I don't have that. I personally don't have anyone in my network that I could go and take it. Well, I do. Actually, I do. There's an instance that I've actually done soda pop. But in this instance, I'm going to say we're going to do a negative. So what that tells me is I got minus, 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 minus everywhere. See how in like 7 minutes, are any of you ever again going to go do some kind of soda pop or fruit punch or flavored water business? It's just a stupid business. Could you win at this business? Yeah, you can. As a matter of fact, let me tell you where I win at it. I own a property in Provo on University Ave where they set up the great big stadiums, and the 4th of July every single week, or the 4th of July every single year, they have the major parade route. And my kids, when they were younger, would go sell soda pop from that location because of why? They controlled the channel. Does that make sense? Everyone following that and understand why that's a bad business? Okay, let's take a positive business. Let's take, yep.
I just have a quick question about substitute and competition.
Okay.
I think I'm getting those confused.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for clearing that. Substitutes, here's what substitutes are there a lot of alternates to it? Could I swap this in for that? And the buying decisions that they have, how many buying decisions could they have? And in that situation, there is. If I do a Coke, there's all the way from Shasta to, there's 17 flavors of the Coke, plus there's water. I mean, so the substitutes are almost endless. Competition is who am I competing against and how intense is that competition? Because there can be lots of substitutes for sugar. But you don't see Super Bowl ads for sugar, right? Did that clarify it? Okay, super. So now let's do a positive one real quickly, and then we'll do one of our own products, or we'll do an idea from the class. List some product that has really taken off that is really going well. Any ideas?
Star Wars toys.
Okay, let's do Apple. Let's do Apple and iPhone. Let's start with the supplier. iPhone's a really good one that everyone's aware of. The supplier of iPhone, do they have power to negotiate with the manufacturing facility in China? Yes. I'll tell you how much. I was over in China last year, and I discovered, do you know that factory has ran at deficit and actually taken a loss for the last 3 years, and they know it? And they'll be lucky ever to even make 1 cent out of building their iPhone. So yeah, they have a plus there. How about the buyers? Would you pay, anyone who would pay $100 for an iPhone, raise your hand. Their cost is probably about $50 to make the iPhone, by the way. $200, $300. How many of us have iPhones? I do. I just paid $1,000 for it. I mean, people abroad are paying $2,000. See how much power they have with us buyers? If anything, plus. Okay, what substitutes are there for iPhones? There is. There's Samsung now. Now, a couple of years ago, they didn't have that, did they? But they have Samsung, and there'll be another. So, I mean, any strong Samsung. Everyone who uses Samsung and hates Apple, raise your hand. Everyone who loves Apple and couldn't use the Samsung, raise your hand. Okay, so, I mean, that just quick little poll said that there's actually more power there, but there are substitutes. So I'll give it a little plus. This one I'm going to give plus. That one I'm going to give a great big fat plus. Okay, how intense is the competition in the iPhone market? Well, I'd actually say that the iPhone industry is pretty competitive now, because there are Super Bowl ads, so I'm going to actually give them a minus right there. Barriers to entry. Could any of you create an iPhone? How many patents are there on the iPhone? How much financial investment took place in the iPhone? Billions. Billions of investment. What kind of intellectual capital took place to create it? What kind of technology is behind it? So I would say barriers to entry are plus if you're Apple. Now if it's us, they'd be like, oh, there's no way. This would all show negative. Okay, what about the channel? Do they have the ability and a channel to vet out here? They do in your lifestyle, or in your lifetime. 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago, not so much. Apple actually really struggled, and what they've been working on the last 10 years is building their channel. But right now they have a big fat plus. So in Apple's situation, they've got like a 5, 6 plus business with 1 minus, and of course it's going to be lucrative. So here's the rule that I use. Can you be financially viable in a negative business? One with a bunch of negatives. Is it worth doing? The answer is yes, you can, but you have to pay attention to what's called transactional costs. And what that is you just have to be much more efficient. The reason I like try finding little businesses and little pluses that work really well is because it's on a wave. All I have to do is jump on the wave, and I'm going to find some level of success. Whereas if there's a whole bunch of minuses, I can still make a lot of money there, but boy, I have to be hyper efficient. Okay? So any questions? Now we've ran a positive and a negative, and now what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to run someone else's business idea.
These seems to work really well with products. What about services?
Absolutely. Works with services too.
What would you consider supplier for service?
In the case of like online, a lot of my businesses are online. Okay, I've had some really fun wins in online, and I love developing technology that goes online because I build it once, and it lasts forever. So in that situation, if I'm building something digital in nature, I always give myself a plus because I don't have a supply cost once the sunk cost is put in. So I get an automatic gimme on that category right there. Okay, let's pick an idea from the class. Yep.
Just a quick question, and if you're going to get to this, just, sorry. As I went through a scenario for myself, I had 4 pluses, 2 minuses. Do you put any more weight on any of these boxes?
No. My only rule is this. Yeah, I mean, if I was to put minuses in, I don't know. That's a great question. This is the most important box, quite frankly. The other 4, I mean, a lot of my businesses are built on 3 or 4, and it's not bad to have a minus. You just got to understand it so you can deal with it and realize it's just not going to yield quite as much profit. If you get a 4 or 5-star business, odds are the margins are going to be crazy, crazy high. Ethan back here has been working with us in a business over the summer that is like nearly all negatives, and its margins are low. And it's okay, we just have to be extremely efficient. This is the critical one, and here's my big rule. Do not pass go, do not go, do not go for, do not go pass go, do not go build, if I can, do not build the product. Please don't go build the product. Don't take your $10,000 and go build the product and say, then I'll go find a channel for it. Red flags go up like crazy when I'm talking to students or anyone, and oh yeah, I'm going to sell it online. And then I say, how are you going to do that? And well, I'll use SEO. By the way, I had a SEO business. And I know how hard that actually is to do, and we did it very successful, but the average person can't just because you can say SEO doesn't mean that you can do SEO, right? So here's my strongest advice. Sell it, then build it. Get your channel figured out before you go build the whole thing. So that's my big rule, and every time I'd say of my failures, 4 out of 5 of the failures I've had have come because I didn't get this right. I didn't get the channel correct. Most times my failures come because I don't get the channel correct. Now this is just the first tool that I use when I'm analyzing business ideas. Okay, there's about 4 or 5 others that I actually vet through, and if you want to know more, you can talk to me personally or look in my books. But it's a really quick way. You can see how in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes I can have a pretty good probability, good idea or stupid idea. You know, most people think that ideas are the hard part. The reality is business ideas are like they're so easy. And before we build a business, we'll typically go through 50 to 75 to 100 business ideas, vetting them out, get it down to 5, 6, 7. Then we what's called the value chain equation on it, and we run 4 or 5 other tools, and then we vet into it. And then it's 1 in 3. It's not 1 in 1. It's 1 in 3. There's a question over here.
Yeah, so channel is just how you're going to sell it?
Channel is how you distribute the product to market. The channel is how you get the product into the market. So in the case of root beer, or your SUU soda pop, it was, are you doing Super Bowl ads? Or what grocery stores are you going into? Or you've got a lemonade stand alongside the street? What channel are you selling it into? In the case of Apple, they had to go build a bunch of stores. Let me give you an example of how incredibly important channel is. Did you know why Taco Bell, anyone know why Taco Bell was built? And I think Burger King too. Does anyone know who owns Taco Bell and Burger King? By the way, start being questioning as students. Never take face value. It's always digging 1, 2, 3 levers. What's really going down underneath here? What levers really are going on? Do you know that Taco Bell and Burger King were built specifically to distribute Pepsi? Because McDonald's is a Coke outlet, and they had to have options and ability to actually get Pepsi in the market. So PepsiCo built Burger King and Taco Bell so that they could actually distribute Pepsi. Channel. They were forming a channel. Okay, we only got a couple of minutes left, so I want to do a business idea real quickly. Someone throw up a business idea.
Auto hobby shop.
A what?
Auto hobby shop, self-service center, where you can change your own oil and
Change your own oil.
change any part.
Work
you
on
want
your
in
car.
Work on your car. So you can go in and pay a fee per hourly and work on your car. Okay. Can you negotiate a better price on your building that you're going into? What about the tools and the parts and the oil and the supplies? I give it a neutral. By the way, can I do I have permission to speak? It's brutally painful here. Okay, yes, it'll be worth your while, I promise. Buyers, can I charge a premium for people to come to that? Is there anything that differentiates class, positive, negative? Okay. What substitutes are available? My garage, my neighbor's garage, a buddy who has something. So the substitutes are car dealer. So substitutes, what do we give him? I don't know it's a negative because it's not like root beer. It's kind of a neutral, isn't it? That's true. Okay, how intense is the competition for oil change places and auto mechanics and so on and so forth?
There's a lot of competition, but they all charge $50 an hour.
They do, but there's competition, but it's not like Super Bowl ad competitive. So maybe we give a small plus. How about barriers to entry? How many people would have the ability to actually go set this up? Is there a patent you can file on it? Is there some super technology that we can apply to it someone else couldn't do? It isn't. It's a minus, isn't it? Now the big question is, do you have the channel? Do you have the channel? Do you have a location that you could do this at? Do you okay.
I own the location, but
So you've already confirmed, and it's on Main Street, and people are driving by, or you have a flyer, or you have somebody that's going to promote the crud out of this.
What do you channeling people?
Well, a channel can be people, it can be however you get it to market. Many people's channel on Main Street is an ideal location. That's really what McDonald's was. They put it on the busiest, most trafficked corner. That's what Walmart really did in the early stages, is they just put it where all the traffic came in and out. So it can be a physical, however you're getting to people, you just have to, however you're getting to your client, that's the key thing, right?
it's right next to the I-15, next to the liquor store.
Okay, that's an interesting clientele you're going after as they pull in for their fifth of vodka. Okay, so if you've got a channel locked down, you're positive, I'll take it at face value. So my quick assessment of this is a business, what are we? We're too neutral, we're too negative, and we're too positive. So I would say, yeah, it's an okay business. You'll do okay at it. Typical Main Street USA type business. Here. There's $100 for you to start your business. Look at 50 others before you do it, by the way. Okay, so guys, it looks like we're out of time right now, but does it give you a little better context how you can quickly judge a good decision, a bad decision? Was everyone in when I talked about where you fish a couple of weeks ago? Combine the two of those, and you can get it 75% of the time right. And it's amazing how stupid things people do. Use those two tools, you'll save yourselves all sorts of problems. Yep.
May I have a book?
Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave this with Dean Templin. I've got a boxes of books here, but here's the deal.
I looked for it in the bookstore after the first day of class and it wasn't there.
That's a big problem, Janet. Okay, so guys, here's the deal. I did bring a box of free books down, and I hesitate to do that because if it ends up at DI, or I don't do it, okay? If you're going to read it, come to the dean and take one and argue it out, and I'll contribute it to you. But if you're not going to read it, then don't take it, okay? Because I only got like 500 left to my name, and I don't want to have to buy more. All right, thanks, guys. Good luck.